Do 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 do. Spiritual sex and candy, yeah.
Hello, gorgeous beings, and welcome to Spiritual Sex and Candy. I am Heather, your Shamanic Sweetener.
And I am Jeff, your Freedom Jedi.
And welcome to episode 2, Bedsheets and Blessings. We're going to untangle the knot of sex and religion today.
So many things. So many things.
So many things. This is going to be a fun episode. How are you today, Jeff?
I am great, actually. As you know, I've been spending the last week or so finishing up my certifications and for the Tantra practitioner part of that. And it's been a wild ride.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, it has definitely opened up some Kundalini energy for you, for sure.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. I am not the same person that started this week. just
No.
not the same person. Not even close.
Yeah, it's been fun communication, especially with all of the astrological things going on with the eclipse and Mercury's in Gatorade again and right, and it's a new moon and a solar eclipse and the energy's been all over the place.
Yeah. So this was probably, if I would have actually talked to somebody who knew me, they would probably say stay away from this stuff this week because the moon was in Virgo.
Yeah.
I am a Virgo. And then Mercury's in retrograde. So Mercury, my ruling planet, is in my all freaked out. And I'm just going to open up all the energy of the universe into my body and try to just be and just do. And
right?
That's how we do.
Yeah, but, it happens. It happens.
Yeah, you definitely got some great things to use for blackmail later.
Oh, absolutely. It's because, like you guys, Jeff and I talk on a daily, and I get all the things before anyone else gets them. I get unfiltered Jeff, and then I have to sometimes go, Jeff, you can't say those things. I mean, you can, but people are going to shut you out if you say certain things a certain way. There's always a way to get your point across, And with this, with our podcast with Spiritual Sex and Candy, we are going to talk about everything throughout this. Mm-hmm. This is definitely an 18 or older. So if you made it this far and you are not 18, we talk about very explicit things on this show. So I want to get that out in the forefront there. And if you are easily offended, this is probably not the show for you. So let's just give that warning up front, because we're going to say things that they're going to make you think, but we also would like to communicate them in a way of being educational. We're always open for comments, but please be kind and educational with those comments, because we're here to learn as well. So today we're going to talk about, where sex and religion get intertwined. How do we intertwine them and some different cultural things that happen? But before we jump into all of that, I just want everyone to take a moment as you're listening to this. We want some chill music going on. And because we come from a place of love and light and education in this space, I just really, if you're watching live, if you're watching this replay, I would just like to give a little love and a little sage and cleansing for everyone's energy as they step into this space with us. I just kind of clear everyone out a little bit. giving you that divine, golden, loving light as it just washes over you as you connect through this episode with us. You know, we're here to have a great time and to talk about things others don't. And we'd like to communicate that to everyone in the most loving and educational way. We'd like everyone to receive that as well. So come in and just relax with us today. Have a good time and a good conversation today about this little spicy little topic that we're talking about. Bedsheets and blessings.
I'm so excited. So how would you like to start today?
I would love to talk about, let's do some fun facts, right?
Yay.
Fun facts about religion and sexuality, sex in general, right?
Sex in general. Can we talk about how Easter was taken from the Roman Eostra and it was a fertility thing? It's a fertility blessing.
Yeah, if we go back before organized religion, Christianity, sex was a sacred practice.
Mm-hmm. So it's so funny. The more I work on the tantric stuff, the more I see the energy that's exchanged in that whole act, right? That whole thing. And it's just funny that we've come to this, as a society, have come to this place where it's such a dirty topic.
It is a dirty topic, right? No one wants to talk about it. I mean,
No.
well, people are very closed off about sex in general, right? Like,
right.
Their sexual practices, there's such a shame around it. So, I go back to the Celts because of my Irishness, my ancestry, my DNA. I always go back to the Celts, and so it's always fun because us Celts, we like it rough, we like it with multiple partners. In the Celtic traditions, we don't even talk about, there are no limits. We talk about what we actually do and not how it should be done. So multiple partners were very common back in the day. Men, women actually were just as involved in the practice as men were. And we got to decide too. So if our husband was not satisfying us the way that they should, or we felt they should, I guess would be a good way. That was grounds for divorce. Back in old school Ireland. Yeah, it was.
It should be still.
The Celts was ground for divorce.
And I'm definitely not one to wait for marriage. If you're going to spend the rest of your life with somebody, you need to really,
Lots of religions.
Definitely.
Right, celibacy is a huge thing. Right, Catholicism, Christianity in general usually is a wait until marriage.
Yeah, it's
belief.
It's it is a belief, and I understand where it comes from in a generalized sense. I grew up Christian. I grew up with I can't masturbate because I was going to hell, and it might fall off, and all kinds of other things.
It
doesn't say that. No, it says that nowhere. It's just what they teach you.
It's just what they teach you. Okay.
Yep. Yeah, it doesn't actually. Yeah. Yeah. No. Nowhere in the Bible does it say anything
around pleasing yourself
about any of it. At all.
Right, so it doesn't say anything at all.
Things that they've come to believe.
Right, because someone decided that we should put restrictions on it and control it, right? Because that's really what it boils down to, is controlling controlling what we think around certain things, right? So if you make it evil and sinful, then like they didn't like the Celts being able to do what they want when they wanted. Oh, look, Jeff's back. Jeff's having technical difficulties. Are you back?
That's why there's two of me. Just in case.
And it,
My network doesn't like that there's two streams going.
Oh, gotcha.
But if I am here, the camera's not as good.
Your camera's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
It's fine. It works.
It's fine.
I sound better though. There
Right,
we go.
right. So we have the celibacy, right? Just don't do it. Just don't do it. How does that work for everyone? Just don't do it.
just don't. Yeah, we talk about celibacy in a time when your body is literally all science says all you want to do is procreate.
Right, because you're getting all the new
So-
hormones. You're getting all of the rush of what should I do with myself or it or her or whatever however you want to refer to all the things, right?
All the things. It's and you know we joke about teenage boys being like, you know, absolutely randy and their socks being crusty, right? But it's because they literally, like, your body is saying, let's go, we need to populate the earth. let us
Right.
go.
Right.
And we tell our, you know, and not that, and trust me, I am not advocating for child sexuality in any way, shape, form, or fashion as I say these things, right? But, you know, it's like we wait because in our society, we realize that
Demonized it.
we've demonized it, number one. And number two, we've realized that we can't necessarily make really great decisions about raising children at, you know,
Well,
at that
yeah,
age.
right. So scientifically, they've proven studying the noggin and the brain that your brain's not fully developed till you're 25, just for the
Right.
record. So like, right, you're making rash decisions, especially in those years of being hormonal and all the things.
Right.
Right.
So we have conflicting things going
And
on
your brain's
on our
not
body.
functioning. Literally, it is not functioning correctly.
And I totally understand how that feels this week. So
Right. Yeah.
So, you know, you have your brain not functioning, you have your life going crazy, you have your body saying that, hey, let's go, it's time. And everyone around you saying you're evil because this is what you want.
So you were actually told you were evil.
Oh
because that's what you
yeah.
are. Right.
It was definitely, you know,
And then girls are told, like, so we're told you have to cover up. Boys can't control themselves. We don't, you know, and I know this is going to be controversial, but we teach boys will be boys. And so therefore we need to be modest and cover ourselves up. Right. And some tradition and there are several religious reasons why women cover themselves up. Right. Orthodox Jews, for one, right? They're not meant to be, you know, they're very modest in their clothing, so they cover from head to toe. And LDS, the Mormons, they wear undergarments once they're sealed in the temple. So once they go through a process and they're sealed in the temple, then they wear garments, which are white, like bloomer type, and tank tops. I don't know how else to describe it other than that, right? But they wear them under their clothing as a modesty thing. I know several churches that take vows, like they have their teenagers take vows of that they're not going to do anything until they get married, right? That's a lot. But then we don't give them an outlet.
right.
We
don't give them an outlet. And then we expect
outlet for that.
And then we need to, and I don't know what that is. Okay, I'm not a father. I get it. I understand this. I do have 20-something nieces and nephews. So, like, I have been around. There's 7 of us siblings, and my
Right.
youngest is 12 years younger than me. So I took care of her, you know.
Right.
So I've kind of done some of this stuff, you know. And I don't know what that answer is. I really don't, other than to be able to have open and honest communication, even if it's uncomfortable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I'm trying to think of like, because I've helped raise a kid or two. I raised one. And I've helped raise a kid or two. I was always super open and honest about things. As far as that goes, with all of them in some way, shape, or form. I think it's super important to talk about STIs, and babies and and be proactive in allowing them to have resources, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because at the end of the day, they're going to do it no matter what. So for me, and this is coming from someone, by the way, that I went to my high school, my senior year had the 4th highest pregnancy rate in the nation.
Wow.
There was, I had friends, I had one of my closest friends had one our junior year and one our senior year. She's still one of my closest friends now. Like everyone we knew was having kids in high school. My best friend at the time, even though she didn't go to the same school as I did, she had one her senior year. My mom, my mom said to me when I was 19, "I'm surprised you don't have kids yet." Like, which really was kind of offensive to me in a way. I wasn't even thinking of, I mean, I was thinking about doing it, but I was not. I knew so many people that had children that I waited till I was 21.
Mm-hmm.
Because all I could think about was I did not want to add a baby into the situation or anything else that involved into what was going on in our life.
Right.
In our lives anyway, because my mom was super sick. If you know me, like through high school, I helped care for my sick mother. She passed when I was 23. So I waited until I was 21. My sister, the same thing. She waited until I think she was 21 as well. She's a couple years older than I am. For that same idea, it was not that our parents were like, you should wait. It wasn't about that. It was about we had other responsibilities. And so one of the consequences of having sex at a young age is you can have babies. And I knew that was not something that needed to be brought into our whole mess. And when I did get pregnant at 23, my dad's response was, what are people going to think about the way I raised you? That was his response. Wow. Right, that was his response. I was 23. I go, I don't think they're going to think a whole lot about how you raised me. I made it to 23. Like, we're not having this conversation, and I'm a teenager,
Right.
Right. But I was always super open with my kids about it. My kids still call me and talk to me about their sex life. The majority of them do in some way, shape, or form. We just have always had a really open and honest conversation about it. And even with my biological daughter, we just talked about it, and it was okay. There was never any slut shaming in our family. I just don't believe in that. It's a natural thing, and I respect your religious beliefs. I respect if you want to wait until marriage, by all means, do what you feel is right. But I do not want to be having shitty sex with someone and be obligated to that the rest of my time.
The worst time in the world. You know how much pressure that is on a guy?
I can't even imagine. Oh, I can't even imagine. Right.
Okay. So, mind you, you're young at that point. It's a lot easier. But at my age, like, if I feel pressure, it doesn't work. Like, at all.
Right.
Like, okay. So I have...
Right.
Wow, that was an overshare. I barely have.
I mean, that's for most men, though. I mean, let's be realistic. For most men, that rings true, right? If you put too much pressure on them, performance anxiety.
It doesn't work. it gets performance anxiety. If you can't build up too much, and then you can't not build up enough, and that's a whole nother conversation, you know. And then like men are complicated. Like women are very complicated. You can fake it. Guys can't fake it. You know, even if you're not into it, you're like, I'm here. Okay, cool. You know, might as well just finish this off.
We can't do it. Yes, you're right. We can. We can totally fake it.
Guys can't do that. So yeah, and so it's just a weird, you know, the whole thing is just, sex is weird. It's weird.
Sex is weird. Sex is weird and awkward. I think we don't give it enough credit. It is not like sex. I mean, there is some porn-worthy sex going on. Don't get me wrong. But most of the time, it is not porn-worthy sex that's happening. Like, I mean, I've had some. Do not get me wrong, but
weeks ago, last week,
yeah.
That was poor. That whole night should have been just recorded, guys. And
or not. Sometimes you just need to be in the moment, right? Which is kind of what we're talking about here today. But that was breaking the stigma. So I have this really fun fact that I have to share because this is, so, you know, prostitution is one of the oldest female, right? It is the oldest profession for women, right? Is to sell the putang. Right, and I can honestly say I've never gotten undressed in front of a man and he go, man, never mind. Right? Like that doesn't happen for women, just for the record. And I've had that conversation.
It can for gay boys.
Huh?
It can for gay boys.
You said that, right? Where
yeah,
you've been in a position where you go, they're like, I've never been in that position. They know they're getting all of this before my clothes come off, right? But there is, so in Mesopotamia and Greece, they had the temple prostitutes. This is so freaking amazing. So there were specific religious roles around ritual sex and within the temples. And so there was actually sacred prostitutes. So women, that is what they did, was have sex for ritual purposes. There's lots of, and by the way, there's lots of religions, that old religions that have ritualistic sex. It's very powerful.
I'm studying one.
You're studying one, right? Tantric.
I'm studying tantric, and while it isn't all about sex, so that's the biggest misconception, is that tantra is all about sex. It's not, but it does use that. It does allow you to use that energy in such a way that it is a divine act, and when you can, it's delicious. It's delicious, and I got a taste of that. Like I said, about 2 weeks ago. Probably the best I've had in quite a while. It's the first time I've hooked up with somebody in a very long time, and it was almost sacred. Almost sacred.
So I used to use sex to numb, and probably wasn't the nicest to myself about it. It was definitely out of ego, and so I have actually not been with anyone in a very long time. I don't know that some people would believe that. Some people are gonna watch this and go, "There's no way." It's actually been like 4 years for me, and purposely, because I got to a point where it was like so meaningless, and so because I was the one that was like, "Peace out." I could disassociate it from it so much that like I was the one that was like, we're done. Where are my shoes? Like, did I get everything? Because I'm not coming back. Have to come back and pick something up. You know what I mean? Like, whatever is left behind, I don't want it. You know what I mean?
So I got my keys. So I got my phone. Do I have?
Yeah. And I mean, and I had a fuck buddy there for a while who, and him and I are still really good friends. But even he got to the point where he was like, "One, are you gonna ever spend the night?" And I go, "Oh, I sure. I just didn't know that's what we were doing because we would get done, and it didn't matter what time in the morning it was. 2, 3 in the morning. I'm like, peace out. I got, I'll see you next time, type of thing. And I would bounce, and he got to the point where he was just like, "Are you gonna ever spend the night?" And I'm like, "Oh, yeah, sure. Not tonight. I got shit to do in the morning, but we could plan that for."
Definitely.
Yeah, but yeah, so it got to the point where it was so meaningless that then I just started viewing men as sexual objects, like, because I was objectified, but I felt that way for such a long time that I was like, yes, that's all I view you as, Jeff, as a piece of meat.
I know. You and I, that's all it is, baby. It's all about the sex.
It is. Yeah, that's it. So I just stopped, and not that I haven't had some offers, but then at the end of the day, which is what we're going to talk about, is the spiritual side of things and being spiritually connected with someone, right? Which I think, so when your religion is very strict on when you should have sex, how you should have it, all whatever it might be. I think that both sides having the same belief system is super important around those things, right?
It becomes uncomfortable because, especially if you have, it's another place where communication is so key, because you might have someone that has a really high sex drive and someone that has a really low sex drive, and your sex drive will change too. And if you have those beliefs around sex and the stigmas that you've had about how dirty it is, then once it is in a space of, it's not a switch that turns on,
right?
You know what I mean? You now you think you're dirty, and you have to like cover yourself, and you have to be modest, and even with your significant others. And
so I have met many couples, and the guys tend to come to me more than the females about this, of course. Where the men have a different sex drive and or want different things sexually than their wives, right? And the first thing I say is, well, was she ever like that? Right? And they go, well, no, not really. Well, you can't. If she wasn't like that to begin with, her waking up one day and going, I think I want to be a freak now, it's probably not going to happen. I mean, is there an extent of where, of course, you open up a little more when you're comfortable with someone and you're open to more things? But if you're looking for a freaky woman, she got to be a freak to begin with, because she's not going to wake up one day and go, I think I'm going to be a freak today.
Right.
And I never judge anyone about their sexual prowess or what they like and what they don't like, because I had a roommate that said this is one of my favorite quotes, is everybody fucks funny to somebody. And he said that one time, and I was like, that is so perfect, and I have used it ever since. Everybody fucks funny to somebody.
There are cultures that missionary is the only way you are allowed, so that's just what there is,
right? Because sex is just for procreation.
And I can't imagine, because it's for procreation. And by the way, that's still not the best position for procreation either, but we won't even get into that. Studied sex since I was 16, like actual studied sex since I was 16. So yeah, it's the random knowledge I have is just ridiculous. We're gonna have fun in this show.
Yeah, of course. That's the idea, right?
Exactly. But yeah, I can't imagine. And I guess I did come out when I was 18, and my first boyfriend was a freak, and his whole thing was that he wanted to have sex in all the freakiest places he can think of. So I had sex on a Catholic church altar using condoms.
Someone's gonna be. So,
Yes, I'm going.
someone's gonna be offended. We don't care.
We warned you at the very beginning. There's going to be something. There will be something
Right,
to offend
there's
every single person you can think about. I promise you. If you don't hang around,
we're
offend
going
you.
to offend you in some way. Yeah.
So, and I'm not saying this was a smart thing or a good thing or I'm just saying that this is what happened, and so it opened me up to even more of the crazy things that I would have not necessarily done had it not been for him. And then that was just kind of almost became norm for me,
I could see that, right? Like there had to be a throw. I mean, I've done I got kicked out of a porn store before, so.
Wow. I got kicked out of a bar that no one in the world ever gets kicked out of.
Yeah, I got kicked out of a porn store in Vegas.
Okay.
For doing inappropriate things.
This is a story that we need to. That one, I have a feeling that story fits right into next week's topic.
If we're gonna, I don't know about. Well, yeah, that wasn't a steadfast topic for next week, but we will definitely be touching on that topic very soon. Because we have to talk about some shame and stuff. Yeah, I will tell the story. I will tell the story. Yeah, but from a very young age, even I was, definitely. I had men who claimed to have, in my 20s. I had guys who claimed to be having sex with me when ew. I mean, some of them were like, no, I wouldn't touch them with someone else's body parts, let alone
mine. Yeah.
let alone my own. So whatever man ends up with me is probably going to be very happy in that department, in the sense that when I trust you,
jackpot.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. So part of the reason why I haven't opened up fully sexually is because I have never been with anyone long enough, because most of them have been such casual relationships that there's a trust there. And for me, the kink is very sexual, and it's, so that is something intimate between a partner and I, and that takes a lot of trust, and I don't trust many like that. So there is a man out there that is going to hit the jack.
They're gonna be like, holy I wasn't expecting that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because I do. There's something to be said about open air sex.
Oh yeah.
I'm just gonna leave it at that.
I live in an RV. Can we?
Right.
Yeah. Have you? Gay campgrounds are amazing for that.
Oh, I can imagine.
Most of them have a trail. So
yeah, that's
a lot of fun.
But I don't want to share either, so there's that part.
Yeah.
I'm a little. I should. Well.
See,
I shouldn't say that.
I can't say that.
I can't say that. But what's mine is mine, and so when I share, it's up to me when I share.
Exactly.
And there's rules.
There's rules.
There's rules to sharing.
I tried the community property thing, and it didn't work for me. So
I know people who So that's another side of this, right? Like, so I know people who are in polyamorous relationships. I know some that have attempted it and it not work. I know, so I've known a couple for years that have an open relationship. And it works for them. She has a steady, significant other on top of her husband, and he has girlfriends in and out, though his girlfriends tend to think that they're gonna, like, I don't know, become number one, which never works. But
No.
so, like, he dates them for a while and then they, they go bye-bye, because when they start thinking they're gonna, be more important than his wife, then, but it works for them. It works for them,
Do you think girls are more territorial than guys are?
No, I don't think that.
Okay. And the reason I ask is because
Hi, bestie. Tina's here.
Tina! Oh my goodness.
Oh, beautiful.
It's nice to see you. I can't.
It depends.
hear you.
I agree.
Hello.
So I think there's a matter of respect when it comes to, and I think that works either way. I think if you're in a
there
very
really does have to be a level.
if you're in a secure relationship and you, because like if I'm trying to flirt, I'm awkward as fuck, by the way. So like, if I'm super awkward with you, it's probably because I'm trying to,
That explains everything, Heather.
yeah.
Our whole relationship is based on your awkwardness.
Yeah, if I become very awkward when I try to flirt, but when I'm not trying to, when I'm just being nice, men think I'm flirting all the time. Oh, so Tina says I'm not jealous, I'm territorial.
That's what I said. I said territorial. I didn't say jealous.
You didn't say jealous. You said territorial.
I was
Hi, Chelsea. How are you, beautiful?
Because we all get jealous.
Yeah. So I think, I suppose it's when it's a respect thing. So, I think if a woman knows that you're, with someone and they are hanging all over them or things like that, then that's where, like, excuse me, there's a limit there and you're crossing the line. So I guess yes, in a sense, but then I think men do the same thing. So I think that there's a certain amount of she is mine, that goes
Yeah, I've been on both sides of this. So when I was with TJ, he was a stripper. Okay, the one I actually had a wedding ceremony with. He was a stripper, and I had to check my jealousy. Like, literally,
Right.
he is a stripper. I was in the bar, and like,
Yeah.
I understand he's working. And so I stopped going to the bar because it was like, you know what? I don't want to know. You're working. You work. You come home to me. I want you home by 3:30. No,
Right.
you do not do things. Or no, we don't. There are things, right?
Right.
And then I was with Wayne, who we were extremely open. I think we were together for a year, and I think we only had sex for 5 times by ourselves.
Right. Hello,
So,
Deanna.
was
So
crazy.
Tina said there's nothing
Deanna's
wrong
here
with being
too.
nice to people,
Hi,
but
Deanna.
there has to be boundaries. Yeah, there has to be boundaries for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and the reason why Wayne and I broke up was literally because his boyfriend was calling me because. Can you hear us, Tina? Deanna, it might be on your side. She says that she can't hear us.
Yeah. That's no bueno.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's on your side, Deanna. Check and see
Okay.
if you're muted. But yeah, we had the reason we broke up was because his boyfriend was calling me mad because he wasn't with him, trying to find out where he was at. He wasn't picking up the phone, and he wasn't with me either. And I knew exactly where he was. He was out with some other guy getting high, but I wasn't allowed to say that. When I said that to the boyfriend, he was like, he didn't know I was on drugs. Well, I'm sorry he didn't know you. Like, whatever.
Right.
You realize your twinkly little boyfriend was calling me to find out where you were and was pissed off
Yeah.
because you
I couldn't
weren't
do all
picking up the
that.
phone.
You see, that's where I couldn't do all that.
It just,
I could not do all that. Nope. So what do you think about, let's talk about what the difference is when you're spiritually connected with someone, right? Because years ago, I sat on this panel where we talked to high school students in this little town when I lived in Kansas. And every year we talked to like the 9th grade science class, right? And we talked about, I of course came in and talked about all the statistics. They had, a panel of like seniors that were practicing abstinence, teen moms, right? There was a bunch of us up there. And there was a gentleman there who had wrote a book, and I wish I knew who this guy was. And I believe he was a minister. I believe, but one of the things he talked about was energetically, and the difference of how men and women view sex in general, right? And so, for most women, this is not an end-all be-all, of course, but for women, everything is very internal, right? Like, we internalize all of it when it comes to that energetic connection, because we literally allow the man to enter us in some way. And even if you are in a lesbian relationship, 9 times out of 10, there is penetration in some way, shape, or form. So you're allowing someone's energy to enter. And for men, it is very external, because even your genitalia is external, right? And this is determined also by whether you're a top or a bottom if you're a gay man, correct? I just want to
you know what? I don't, somewhat, but not really.
Okay.
So, and I totally get it. It's how that could be there, right? And I'm verse, so let's face it, I've done both.
Right.
Typically,
do you think there's a different energy connection? So, because like for us, we're allowing them to enter into our most sacred part of our body,
it depends on which space you
in what
so
space
my
you're
head just
talking.
went my head just went into a whole different conversation that we are not having in this conversation.
Right.
Heather's like, wow, this is such a difference from yesterday. I actually had to leave her live. I had to leave her live. I'm like, I'm going to say all kinds of stuff. But it really is, I don't, it's easy for a guy to not connect at all. So, well, I know energetically and religiously and biologically, I'm talking shit, right? But it's easy for us to ignore that hormone and that whole thing and just be
that
done.
whole energetic connection. Yeah.
Right. That the energy, the hormones, the stuff, shut off the emotions, shut off the whole thing. We become
shut off the emotion.
machines.
You're right. Oral is also a different way of exchange, right? So that's the other thing is like oral is downplayed as well a lot of times, right? Like, especially when you're younger, where it's like, oh, well, if you give me oral, that'll satisfy me. Right. Like, I don't,
I prefer it. 90,
I'm just here to get mine and done. Yeah. Right.
Yeah.
So I turned into that though. So energetically, I did cut myself off. And I always said, I viewed sex like a man would view sex, which, and it was true. Like, I very much was able to shut it off so much that I had to just stop because I'm like, this is not, I wasn't being nice to them either, by the way. It's like, you were
And they
here for one
loved
thing
and they loved every bit of it.
be done.
I had a guy, I was going through my landmark training and I was in this program, and it's all about like sharing and opening up and all these things. And I had this guy across the street. He was much younger than me, and literally he was a submissive, like a full submissive, and I didn't even know his name. I still can't tell you his name. I did learn it at one point. I did ask it because I had a conversation with somebody. We were laughing about it. Like, we were having this conversation. He goes, how can you do that in this program? Like, that's just not who you are into the world. And I was like, crap. So that was my first problem with my sex life. That was my first like kink, like chink in my kink. Was like, oh, wait a second. That you're right. That's not who I am for humanity. So I can't do that anymore.
Oh,
Yeah. And then, so that was the first one. Now, with all the stuff I've been doing the last year, like the thought of just hooking up is so like, yeah, no. And it literally
that's what I'm having a hard time about, because I'm not saying that I wouldn't be willing to, if I met someone and there was an energy and a chemistry, like, I'm not saying I wouldn't be okay with something casual, but it has to be a different level. It has to be a different level. And Tina, I agree that oral is a different way of an exchange. For me, oral is even more personal and intimate than having intercourse, believe it or not.
Well, yeah, because you're not actually getting sexual stimulation from it.
Yeah. So for me, oral is, I do not do that very often, though I don't mind doing it. I rather enjoy it, but it is very intimate for me. So that is something, but that also stems from childhood things, trigger warning, like, so because I was molested as a young child. I was 7 or 8, and that was the form, was the brother. It was an older brother, and he had us perform oral on him and was very demanding about it. Not a giver, but I will receive. Chelsea, you're so funny.
I love you.
I mean, as long as they're okay with it. So it took me a very long time to be comfortable with it. And so for me, that is a very intimate thing. It's very intimate, and it has to be on my own terms still.
Yeah.
Oh, thank you, Gianna. It just is. And like I said, for a very long time, it was one of those control things for me. So like, I knew logically that I was obviously in full control. But in my mind, if you could get me to do that, you were in control. Right. And so I just, it took me a long time. And then, now I rather enjoy it, but again, it's still a control thing. So it's very intimate for me, even now.
I got that. And it's so hard to separate. I too was technically molested, although he wasn't that much older than I was. So, when I was very young, we're talking 4.5, 5. So, I definitely understand how trying to separate the layers of that is a challenge. It's.
Yeah. And then as I got older, because I always looked older than what I was,
Until now, of
and
course.
huh?
Until now, when you
Until
just like
now, yeah. But part of it is how developed I
reverse.
was. And so, yeah, it was a lot of older men hitting on me. I definitely felt objectified from a very young age. Let's just put it that way. A very young age, I was objectified. So I still have a hard time taking a compliment. But I know now I look at myself differently. I think that's where, spirituality and sex coincide with each other to where it can be a spiritual experience, even if it is something casual per se, non-committal. Is that a good way to put it?
That could be that's a good
Non-committal
way to put it. Non-committal.
is the connection I have with myself at this point, right? And so you have to touch my soul to be able to touch all the parts.
Ooh, that's a tweet. You
Yeah,
gotta touch my soul to touch my booty.
my pleasure portal.
Yes, my pleasure portal.
The pleasure portal, baby. The pleasure portal. Yeah. It is. Like, I talked to a guy, I talked to him for over a year, and he turned it in, hey baby, just come get you some, and I'm like,
You know what's funny? So there's two guys, right on that, in that subject. There's two guys, both of which I'm attracted to, right? And have been, and
right.
they were both at the bar the other day, and like I thought about it, but both of them just came on like that tinge too strong, and it made me go, no.
Yeah.
No, that's just dirty. And totally, this is right before all the, like, when I was opening up to all the crap. So
right. Yeah.
I feel bad for anyone that tries anymore right now with me.
And I do think that having relationships with people who have a similar spiritual background is important as well. Belief system. I think having a similar belief system helps in every way, shape, or form, because again, spiritually connecting with someone, you have to be on that same wavelength. I think that's just super important. I've met couples that have just said that, like, you would not think of them as a couple, and they said, but spiritually, religiously, we are so connected, and our belief system is so similar that I knew I couldn't find anyone that had the same belief system. And I think that's super important, because or you have to greatly respect the other person's belief system when it comes to things like this.
Yeah, I mean, and it's all about having the conversation too.
Yeah, right? I think we don't talk about it enough. Yeah, for sure.
Like, what are your thoughts around this? And what I think that's an advantage of gay men. They do talk a lot about what they want, what they don't want. I mean, like, literally, after like a freaking smorgasbord, and you pick off the menu, and if they don't like what you do, if they don't want to do what you want to do that night, it's like, oh, I'm gonna go to Chinese today. It's like, yeah,
right.
I've turned down guys that I would never turn down in real life, just because they wanted to do something I didn't want to do that night. And had I seen them in, like, if it was at a bar or something like that, or in different areas I've been in, it wouldn't.
Right.
But it's a connection thing. It is really a connection thing. It's a connection in knowing what what you really believe, and that's in and of itself is, we could go on a whole conversation about what do you really believe.
Right. Well, so for me, part of that is source, God, goddess, divine, the force,
greatness on demand,
Guy Daddy, Allah, Great Spirit. Why would they not want you? Why would they make something so enjoyable and then tell you not to do it or not to enjoy it? Why? Why would they do that? Why? No. It feels good for a reason. It feels good for a reason.
Well, because
And if it does not feel good, you're not doing it right. Just for the
Right.
record.
For the record. Yeah, guys, it's not about.
For the record, if you're not enjoying it and it doesn't feel good, they're not doing it correctly.
Yeah. It's not as how fast you can go or how hard you can play.
No, it is not.
I promise you that it's
Right.
not the game.
I also promise you that there is someone out there that will do you better than who you're with. You should never stay with someone because the sex is good. That's not a good enough reason. But you shouldn't be with someone who you don't enjoy the sex with. And I will live by those.
You want to know why? And I'll tell you why. I'm going to tell you. I'm going to roll this all the way back around. Watch this. If you don't feel like the sex is good, right? If you can't get there with that person, it's because the energy is off.
Yeah.
Okay. And so what's happening is that the energy isn't matching and you are not moving the energy into the correct spaces.
Yeah.
And it could be that, someone's hitting a lower chakra. It could be, all kinds of different things. But
and chemically you match with people and not. Have you ever kissed someone and you're like, oh my gosh, this person is so good looking, and then you kiss them and you're like, chemically you're not a match. Chemically you're not a match. I dated a guy and he was like the sweetest guy ever, and we kissed and he thought it was like the best kiss in the whole world, and I was like, meh.
Yeah.
Meh. I mean, at the end of the day, I had a really good time years later, but it was not why we were together. It was like we split up, and a couple of years later, it was like we could have a really good time together. Let's have a really good time together.
Yeah,
I think also that we need to be okay with, which we're gonna have this whole discussion as well, is getting rid of the stigma that casual sex is bad, and that yeah.
Isn't that next week's? Is
that
that
you
our
should
next
not
week's topic?
do that because yeah, we're gonna have that discussion within the next couple of weeks.
Within the next couple of weeks. Talking about why we have sex I think is interesting, and why we have casual sex is on different levels of, it is so fascinating all the way around, because it's not why you think. I promise you, not why you think.
Yeah, it is not why you think. So to come full circle, when you're connecting with yourself and you love yourself, like you said, I love myself. Yeah. And then she said it was gross. What was gross? Something was gross.
Your ex.
Regardless of what you believe, how you believe, make sure that you find someone that believes along the same path. You gotta love the puppies. Connect on a spiritual level, but when you start connecting with yourself and finding the love within yourself and taking care of yourself, you will be surprised at how different you want things, right? When you become spiritually connected with yourself, you're going to find that what you look for in a partner, whatever that partner looks like for you, is going to change and be different. It's going to be different.
Yeah,
what I look for now is not what I would have looked for even 2 years ago. I was like, I don't want a relationship at all. So I've come a really long way from not wanting to be with anyone at all. But let me tell you, my standards are really high, and people say I'm picky, and I am picky for a reason. I am picky for a reason, and I'm going to keep those boundaries regardless.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
I-
kissing somebody that you don't have a connection with. Yeah, that is gross.
I've realized a lot lately, that it is when the connection's there and the energy is being moved, because I had just finished the Tantric Reiki certification before the last time I got, and it was a
Right.
completely different experience, and even he was like, that was some crazy shit.
Right.
Like we knew that we weren't like end game. We might see each other again, but not maybe.
Right. But it wasn't about that. Right.
But it wasn't about that. And the energy moved, everything moved. Like everything was so simpatico that it was like stupid. Like there's no other word but like magical. Really.
Yeah.
And when you can get your belief and get your energy and move and think of sex on an energy level. I'm trying to do this without connecting, because if I connect, I'm gonna pop all the way out.
Right.
So if you can get your energy into a space where sex is about the energy that you're exchanging, and really just start actually feeling what's happening. Somebody had once said to me, can you breathe from your feet?
Ooh.
And when you're breathing from your feet, what ends up happening is that the whole body gets activated.
Yeah.
And it's a practice actually that I learned like younger, that they just talked about again. The energy is everything, guys. Want to increase your sex life? Increase your energy. If you have questions, no, I'm kidding. Message me. No, that wasn't where I was going with that. But definitely, it's all about the energy.
It is all about the energy. All right, so Jeff wants to pull cards every time at the end and give a little advice, right? We're going to end it with a little bit of, which I think mine is the perfect one today, which is the root chakra, the base chakra, which is all about grounding yourself, finding home within yourself, safety, security. And when you can fully step into this energy, which gives you your foundation, that is where you start opening up that fire that ignites into your sacral chakra, which is the next one up. And they're so connected with each other. And so this is your primal sexual urges, that primal need on a different level. And when you start to truly connect with this, that's when things are really going to start changing for you.
And it's also where your kundalini actually lives.
Yeah.
So when you actually it's seated there, and when you start activating it and start moving it, it just pretty girl, get it.
Yeah.
So that's an interesting card. So it's the 5 of Cups. So often what that means is that we have things right there, and like literally we have 5, we drank 4 of them and there's still one there, right? Or we spilled some, or we've partied, and there's gonna be a huge change, but we're worried about what isn't there instead of what is.
Ooh.
So where are you worried that maybe it's your sex life, right? Where your sex life isn't there and it's not where you want to be, but what is there? What is there? What is available? Because it's right there.
Really, at the end of the day, it's always available. It's whether you want to pursue it or not.
Mm-hmm. but you
Right.
can't cry over it. Is the question. That
Right.
specifically talks about crying over it, like, oh my goodness, I don't have that relationship, I don't have that stuff, I don't have this. But what do you have?
Yeah.
I have a better connection. I have Heather. We have Tina. How's your hand, by the way? So I did hear.
I haven't talked to her today about it, but yeah.
It just
All
hit
right,
me.
you guys. Thanks for coming and joining us on our. Yeah, Tina says, I have me, myself, and I. Yeah, exactly. And it just to, on an end note, connect with yourself and learn what you like. If you cannot pleasure yourself, you cannot teach someone else how to pleasure you. So get comfortable with your own body and
Connect to source.
And connect to source. Yeah.
If you connect with source first, go into that meditative state, and then try it. Some things can happen.
Next level stuff.
Next level.
I love you guys. Thank you so much for coming and hanging out with us today. Join us next week, same bat time, same bat channel. I don't know if I'm allowed to say that. Come hang out with us next week. Maybe we will be talking. We might be.
We're gonna be talking about some things, and you guys want to hit. You want to hit it.
You want to be here.
I promise.
Yes, you want to be here.
No matter what the topic ends up being, you never know what's going to.
You never know. You never know. This week was Bedsheets and Blessings.
Yes.
Right. And I hope that this opened you up. Right. I hope this opened everyone up for opening that discussion of what you really like. Because if you can't be open with your partner, who can you be open with? So trust in what you love and enjoy, and love yourself first. I hope everyone has a great week.
Love you guys. I'll see you guys soon.
Love you. Bye.
Everyone here at the True Awesome Network asks you to please subscribe, like, comment, and spread awesome.